Okay, so let's dive in and take a look at this first image that I've got here. Jared, tell me how to pronounce his name.
I believe it's Moser.
Okay,
Uh,
Moser. Okay, so thank you for sending this over. You know, take a look at your histogram first of all. That's always a key point to start. You notice it's we're bunched over here. It's very dark on this side, so we'd like to kind of spread this out. That would be my first point. I'm going to get into the develop module here so that we're actually doing what we need to do here. So let's click over to develop, and it's taking a second to load it. So I want to, you can see we've got clipping highlights there on the darks, and let's just turn that off. So, you know, first thing you should always do with your own photograph is visualize it. And so I'm visualizing, I think this is a great image. I love the clouds, I love the water coming in, but we're losing a lot of that. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the shadows. See how we do there. I don't want them too open, but I'm going to bring them probably to about here. Notice what's happening with the histogram as I'm doing that. It's, you know, if I open them all the way, I don't want to do that. You can see the change here. But we're making a more even hill if we bring it like that. And then I'm going to probably bring the highlights down a little bit, just because that'll bring out those clouds. So I don't know. I'm gonna do a little tweaking, and then I think we're going to go ahead and process this as a black and white. The reason why I would go with black and white here is I think it'll be more dramatic. There isn't a lot of what I would consider really important color. We've got the blue in the sky here, but the rest of it is pretty monochrome. So I think we're going to do better as a black and white. I'm going to enhance the blacks. I'm going to press down the Option key here on a Mac, or Alt on a PC. Just bring that over a little bit. We're going to lose, you can see we're losing information down here. It's not terrible, not super crucial. Do the same thing with the whites. Press my Alt key and open up the whites a little bit. Okay, well, there's a starting point. I feel like it still needs to open up a little bit on the exposure, so I'm going to just pop that a tiny bit, not too much. Okay, now I think I'm going to go in the direction of a black and white here. Let's just go ahead and edit in Silver Efex Pro, and let's see what we've got here as our options that we want to. Yes, we do want to edit it with Lightroom adjustments. I always do that because that's what we just did. We did those adjustments. That wouldn't make sense to lose them. And let's let Silver Efex Pro open up here, and then we'll walk through what we can do with the image in Silver Efex Pro. And I'm not sure why it's being so slow this morning. Maybe it's not had its coffee. So back to Lightroom. There we go. Now it's loading it. Okay. All right, there we are. So we've just opened it in Silver Efex Pro. I haven't done anything. It's in neutral here. Not very exciting. I have my favorites here, so I'm going to click on them because I already know these are the ones I use 98% of the time. And then again, my workflow is just click through. I would never use that. I mean, that's just blasting the contrast out the roof, and that's losing all sorts of detail. That's no good. Let's see what high structure looks like. That might work. Let's just keep looking. So this is the process that I follow. This is also what Doton Sagai does. He just clicks through, and you just get a feel for, you know, what each of these presets can do. I think that's pretty cool. This has kind of become my go-to. This is Full Dynamic Harsh. That's number 15. I'm kind of going in that favor. Look what it's doing to the clouds here. Wow, amazing cloud structure. And let's just check the other two here I've got. No, I'm losing too much detail. I don't like that. And yeah, number 15. Boom. Okay. So I tend to, yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape just by doing that. You can see our histogram over here is already in better shape.
Actually,
If
we
you,
can't quite see the histogram. You might need to move
oh,
it
okay,
over a little
thanks
bit so that
for
we can see
letting
it.
me know. Let's pull that
Yeah.
over. Okay, let's do this. One thing you should do once you have determined which preset you want, then go ahead and close it, because now we don't need that showing up on the screen, and now I can move my screen over and give you a better idea. Okay, so you can see the histogram here. These are your zones, and that's zone 0 and that's zone 10. I don't have anything on those extreme zones, but you can start to see like zone 9. You can see the hash marks there, crosshairs, cross marks. I'm needing some coffee. I can't remember what those are called. Anyway, you can click over each zone, which is pretty cool. We don't have the 2 extreme zones. Let's see what happens as we keep working here. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to try a filter. If you've seen me process before, you know that I tend to favor the red filter for the sky here. I'm not sure. I think that's getting a little over processed. I'm going to go away from that. I'm probably going to leave all the filters off. I don't see any that I think will enhance this photograph. I'm just gonna go back to no filter. I'm just testing the other ones. Certainly not a blue. Yeah. Let's just take the filter away. Yeah, I think we're better off. Do you guys agree? Okay. The other one that I always like to take a look at is what we're going to do in terms of, well, we'll go up here in a second, but let's just take a look at our films, because there's, sometimes it really can help adding a film look to it. So this is my friend Panatomic X. I think that looks pretty good. I'm just going to stop there. Now, let's do a comparison. So we've got a side-by-side look. You can see where we started and where we are now. It's pretty dramatic. This is the bottom here. I think we're in good shape there. Now I'm going to just take this away because I'm not positive that I need that film look. Let's just go back to where we are. So that's without any of the films. Let's see what the difference is. Yeah, I think it's, it's kind of up in the air. Like, is that going to help or not? Yeah, I like that it's bringing in the blacks and it's giving us a stronger, more dramatic look. And because of the clouds being so dramatic, I think we're in good shape here. All right, what else am I going to do? There's little tweaks. Obviously, you can do this for a long period of time, and you should think about what tweaks you want to make in your photograph. One thing I am noticing is there's some sensor spots over here, so that should be processed out in Lightroom before we get to it. I'm not going to do that right now. Sometimes those show up, and it would be easier, obviously, to do that before we start adding the black and white. So the dynamic brightness is a pretty cool adjustment, because I can bring up the brightness in the image without sacrificing the darks and the lights. And I'm doing that just a tiny bit. I'm going to pull it down a little bit more. It's going to bring up sort of those midtones. And there we go. I really don't actually want to use that. I'm going to get rid of it. A lot of this, guys, is just trial and error. So what else are we going to do? We're just going to probably put a little toning on it. I'm going to use the selenium. That adds some bluishness, which also helps the dramatic look. And then the last thing I'm going to do is burn the edges. So probably one soft. I usually tend to go, so all edges too. You can see how dark those edges are, the corner. I think it's a little too dark. If you haven't heard me talk about this, the reason you want to look at burning your edges or using a vignette is to keep the viewer's eye within the frame. So it's darkening it. It tends to keep your viewer looking into the frame, and it can often help. You don't always need it. I'm going to go one soft, leave it at that. Okay. There's other tinkering and whatnot we could do, but here's the before and after. Pretty dramatic, right? I really like what it's done in terms of bringing out the clouds primarily. It's really enhanced that, but we've also got our texture going on with this sea grass here and the wave coming in. So I think that's really helped. Okay, so this is your call. Always in terms of what you envision with your photograph, what you visualize, but I think it's definitely helped. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And
while that's applying, Nate had a question. Are you going to be sharpening photos? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I haven't done any sharpening, and that could certainly be done, and that should be done in Lightroom. Those are final tweaks that you could do before you could go, we're going to bring it back into Lightroom so we can do those final tweaks as far as sharpening and obviously there's many different things you can do with a photograph. So here's your sharpening over here, and you could certainly always pull that over. Don't go crazy with it, but you can pull that over and get a little more sharpness going. So that's a good question, but I'm not particularly dealing with that right now. It's not something that's high on my priority list, but certainly everybody's got their sets of tools that they want to work with in terms of what they feel will enhance their own image, and I think that's your discretion as your vision in terms of what you're seeing as the photographer. Okay, so were there any other questions, Jared, while we're tweaking around here?
That was that.
Okay.
The only question so far. And if you have any more, definitely leave them in the chat, and we'll get to them.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's just go back to our library here. And you can see what it's done is it's brought, I'll bring these up side by side so we can look at them together. And here was our original photograph, and here we are. I think it's really helped a lot, and I do believe that even though we're losing the blue there, I still feel like that tonality is present in the sky, and I think that really helps. We brought out a lot of detail here that wasn't really apparent in the texture. We've darkened the edges, and we've made it a very moody, dramatic photograph. All right, what do you guys think? Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.